Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Bianca.
And I'm James.
We're a husband and wife board gaming duo called the Tricktakers.
We're here to play our hand at board game reviews and how-tos.
Today, we're chatting about 5 Kickstarter games we're backing in 2021.
So the first game that we're backing this year on our Kickstarter list is a game called Doomlings. This is a game designed by 4 designers, Justice Meyer, Eric McCoy, Andrew Meyer, and Chris Vela. It's a tableau building card game, so you'll be putting cards down in front of you each turn as you play throughout the game. It can be played with 2 to 6 players, so it kind of goes somewhere in between, a smaller game to kind of a mid-sized party game. The gameplay is 20 to 45 minutes, so not too long. And overall, it's a pretty light complexity, so you won't be digging for hours into this game. It's more of a fun filler game to kind of start off your night.
And the theme is pretty cute. It's like these little Doomling creatures that live on a faraway planet, and they're trying to survive the end of the world. So as the end of the world approaches, there's several catastrophes that occur, and one of which will end up being the ultimate end of the game. And as you're playing, you're trying to evolve your Doomling to have more traits so that they can survive the end of the world.
Yeah, so as for the general rules of the game, each player will start off with a number of cards in their hand. There'll be a pile of ages in the center of the table. Each player will go around one turn at one card at a time, putting cards down on the table, playing these traits from their hand, and it'll go around to each player before you flip over the next age card and go to the next round. There will be a pile of, say, 12 ages with 3 catastrophes shuffled in. Once you find the 3rd catastrophe, the game ends. The points are basically calculated by the number of traits that are in front of you. There's some kind of synergies between the different cards, so you might collect all the red cards or all the blue cards or things like that. And there's some other effects. There's some gotcha kind of effects that attack other players. There's ones that are more centered on yourself and gaining more points. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
So let's talk about why we backed this game. We actually know 2 of the creators of this game. One is Justice Meyer, the other is Eric McCoy, and they were generous enough to give us a 3rd generation copy of the game a few months back. So we actually have been able to play an earlier iteration of the game. And this was back in the review phase, so we were able to provide some feedback for them. And it's kind of cool because it feels like we're actually contributing to the development of this game. And we don't know how it's going to turn out. We don't know what notes they're going to take that we've given them, but we're really curious to see how it turns out.
Yeah, and overall it's a pretty fun filler game. It reminds us a lot of a game like Flux, where kind of the rules are changing throughout the turns. You're drawing either fewer cards or more cards and some other things like that. And it's a really simple game to teach, so you can easily get some of your friends on board with it.
And another interesting little factoid about this game is a lot of the time when you buy a board game, you'll see the designer's name and then you'll see a name of the artist. They're usually 2 different people, but one of the designers of the game is also the artist, and that's Justice. He actually did all of the artwork himself, which is super impressive to just be able to, be that well-rounded. And we really like the artwork, especially on the catastrophe card, or not the catastrophe cards, the age cards. Mm-hmm. I love all the age cards. They're so cute. And, he did a good job of, creating these little Doomling characters where they each have different personalities and things like that come through with the art.
And overall, the price point of this Kickstarter was pretty low. So it felt, pretty low risk to kind of jump on board and support some of these designers that we know.
Yeah, for sure. And the anticipated release date is December 2021. So, hopefully we'll have it around the holidays and we'll keep an eye out for it. So the next game that we backed on Kickstarter this year is Caper Europe. It's published by the same people that published one of our other favorite games, Parks. Keymaster Games is the publisher. And it is a 2-player card drafting game. It plays in 25 to 35 minutes, and it's a light to medium complexity level.
And as for the theme, it's a heist theme where basically you're sending thieves off to different locations. Some of the ones listed on the Kickstarter page are the Sagrada Familia, Big Ben, and the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, so our general understanding of this game is that you have thief cards in your hand and you kind of look at them, you take the one that you want, and then you pass it to the other person and they do the same thing and then pass it back until there's one card left.
So card drafting, yeah.
Yeah, so then you take that last card and you discard it. And then from there, thieves are placed at the 3 different locations that are on the board. And so you kind of place your thief at whatever location you want to go to, and then throughout the game, you equip your thieves with gear so that they're able to dominate that location and steal items. So basically the way you're scoring points is you're dominating locations, you're getting goods, and I think the gear also scores points, but basically at the end of the game, you're the mastermind, right? Who's behind all of these robberies. So whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins.
So as far as why we backed this game, we already mentioned Keymaster Games being the publisher. And we have a lot of trust with them because of games like Parks, and so we thought, we'd jump on this Kickstarter.
Yeah, and the production quality in Parks is unlike any other game that we have, really. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with this game. They do have an earlier iteration just called Caper, but this is a reprint, so I'm curious to see how this turns out. We have not played Caper, so this is going to be a whole new game for us, personally. So.
And also, it's a 2-player game, so the 2 of us can play without needing to, get together a 4-player board game night, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we've especially been looking for 2-player games this past year, being in quarantine. Of course, now we can play with more people, but we did realize that we have a lack of 2-player games in our collection, so this will be a good addition.
Yeah, and the theme's unique. We don't have any other games that are a heist theme where you're running around with thieves trying to steal goods and things. So that's a unique theme for a game.
Yeah, I think the closest thing we have is maybe Codenames, but even that is more of a spy theme. You're not really stealing anything, so yeah, I think this will be really cool.
Yeah, and coming from a Magic kind of background, card drafting games are one of my favorites. So you're drawing a card, you're passing off your hand to the next player, they're drawing a card, passing it back to you, and that kind of that kind of strategy is really unique and entertaining.
Also, I feel like this game is going to inspire us to travel a little bit just because of all the European locations that are mentioned. Like some of them we've been to, like when we went to the Sagrada Familia, and now that's going to be a location in this game. And I think Parks kind of does that same thing, but for national parks. And for this, I feel like even though, travel isn't necessarily the theme of the game, it's still, featuring all these locations. It will probably make me want to go to some of them.
It's very similar to Parks, where you're like, I want to go to all these different parks, national parks that are around. So yeah, it's cool.
And the anticipated release date is September 2021, so hopefully, we'll have the game in just a few months. That's not too far away, so really looking forward to it.
So the next game on our list is Sabobatage. This is a fun little game created by Eric Chen. It's a tableau building card game, so similar to Doomlings, where you're putting cards out in front of you, trying to build a set, a collection. It's a 2 to 5 player card game, so like same thing, kind of a smaller group or more of like a party size. 10 to 30 minutes per round, so once again, kind of a short filler game that you might be playing, and also low complexity, so you can play this with a family or a group of friends, etc.
Yeah, and the theme is really what caught my eye with this one. It is a boba tea theme, and basically the idea is that each player is supposed to be an owner of their own boba tea shop, and they're collecting ingredients to create different kinds of tea.
So as for the general rules, each player starts off with 5 cards in their hand. On your turn, you're going to draw 2 cards and play up to 3 cards. You can either play ingredients onto the table, or you can play action cards that have different either positive or negative effects. So you're either going to be playing like take back cards that sabotage other players or get some kind of bonus otherwise. And whoever gets 5 completed drink sets, which are these kind of it's a combo of a tea plus a flavor plus a topping in front of them, then that player wins.
Yeah, and I feel like tableau card building games are kind of trending right now. Like, Wingspan is an example, right? Like that's a really popular one. And now we talked about Doomlings, and now we're talking about Sabobatage. So I feel like, this kind of game is having a moment right now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about why we backed it. It's a fun, lightweight game. I think, we have a lot of complex games in our collection, and we have a few very light games, but it's always nice to have a little bit of variety so that when we have, family come over who aren't really serious gamers, that there are some options for them. So, and also the theme was another reason.
Yeah, make sure to check out our How to Diversify video for more tips on that. It also reminds us of another game we played, Monopoly Deal, which is very similar, where you're trying to build kind of the property sets from Monopoly in front of you while also playing action cards that affect other players. But I think we like this theme more than Monopoly.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like Monopoly Deal with a cuter theme. I mean, those little bobas that's on the artwork it's really cute. They did a good job with it. The last reason I decided to back this was because the price point was right. It was not an expensive, it's another game that wasn't super expensive to back. It was, I think, like $20 or something like that. I can't remember the exact price, but it was, it didn't feel like too much of a gamble. Yeah, actually, I think the release date is supposed to be in July 2021, so that's coming out super soon. So we'll be checking the mail for it in the next few weeks. So
yeah, we're looking forward to this one. So the next game on our list is The Ghost of Christmas. This is published by BoardGameTables.com, which is actually where we got our board game table, so go check them out. They make really awesome tables. It's a trick-taking game, so you're going to be, if you ever play a trick-taking game, you're trying to win certain hands by playing the highest number. It's 3 to 4 players, so, it's a fun little group game. 40-minute gameplay, so it's actually a little bit on the longer side because you're playing so many tricks in order to kind of finish the game. And overall, it's a light to medium complexity. It's pretty light to get into, but there's a lot of kind of background, complexity that it'll be hard to master.
yeah, and then what really caught my eye about this game was the theme. Like most other games that I'm into, I'm really into theme. And this is based on the story by Charles Dickens called A Christmas Carol. And that is my absolute favorite Christmas story. So as soon as I saw this, I knew I wanted to get it because the theme is just right up my alley. So
as for the general rules of the game, each player is going to get a hand of 12 cards, and the number of hands that you'll end up playing is based on the number of players. So 2 players would play 2 hands. Each hand is going to be broken up into 4 rounds, where each round kind of consists of 3 kind of parallel tricks that are going on. So each kind of round, you're going to have past, present, and future that you can play cards into. And the same way kind of a trick taking game works, the first person who plays a card into one of the 3 tricks leads the suit. And anyone else who wants to play a card into that trick would need to play that same colored suit, or if they don't have any, play a card of another suit. The trump card is the hearts, so hearts would always win. But the interesting thing is that you don't have to play into a suit into a trick that another player has already played. You can start one of the other tricks and lead that. And so there's going to be 3 tricks. Once those 3 tricks are completed, you'll go through and figure out who won each trick and add a wreath onto these doors. Now, the interesting thing with the doors is basically when you get your 12 cards at first that fill your hand, you're going to guess how many tricks that you think you can win. So if I think I can win 4 tricks, I'll put 4 doors in front of me. And if I win exactly 4 tricks, then I would get 2 times the number of points that I guessed. So I would get 8 points. Otherwise, if you don't get that number exactly, you get 0 points. There's also an orange door that you can put. So if you think you might win 3 to 4 tricks or 5 to 6, and you get that number, then you only get 1 point per door, but at least you don't get 0. The other interesting thing is that the winner of the first trick, so the winner of the past, decides the lead suit of the present, and same thing with the future. So there can be some interesting situations where the lead suit might actually change based on the winner of the previous trick, so it adds some extra complexity in there. And then once the two, in the case of a 2-player game, once the 2 hands are done, or I guess a 3 to 4 player game, 3 or 4 hands, the person with the most points wins.
Yeah, I think this game seems like a really interesting balance between bidding and trick-taking. I don't think I've ever played anything like this before, so I'm interested to see how it works out.
Yeah, and it's also interesting, we played the Fox in the Forest yesterday, and whenever you're trying to win a very specific number of hands, there's a lot of extra complexity that goes on in the background.
And so why we backed it, obviously the first reason is the theme stood out to me, so I wanted to get, a game that's like this Christmas theme for the, this story that is, really nostalgic for me. And also I'm really into ghosts, so the ghost theme helped.
We've also really enjoyed trick-taking games lately. I mean, we are the trick-takers, so we played The Crew a lot. Like I mentioned, we played the Fox in the Forest. We've played a lot of other games like that have a lot of these, even though they seem very simple up front, they have a lot of these hidden complexities behind the scenes.
And the other thing is, it is a small game. From what it looks like on Kickstarter, it comes in a little box, and we can easily bring it home for the holidays to play with our families.
Yeah, and once again, it kind of like Doomlings, it has a low price point, so it's easy to jump into without too much of a risk. As for the anticipated release date, it's November of 2021, so a few months from now, but we're looking forward to getting this before the holidays.
Yeah, hopefully it comes before we have to head back to the East Coast to see our families, so fingers crossed.
So the last game we backed is Endless Winter. This is published by Fantasia Games and contains a ton of different elements. It's got deck building, worker placement, area influence, tile placement, and set collection. It's a 1 to 4 player game, so it even has a solo mode, 50 to 90 minute gameplay, so this is a little longer of a game, and it's got a heavy complexity. So a little more heavy than some of the other games we've listed today.
A little more heavy. I think it's a lot heavier than the other games that we've listed today. This might be even one of the most complex games that we'll be adding to our collection. So, but yeah, like the theme is really unique. It's an Ice Age kind of theme, Paleo-American, prehistoric kind of theme where you're trying to survive. You're a tribe that's trying to survive and develop by hunting, migrating, and trying to find food.
Yeah, so as for the general rules, to try and keep it simple, basically the game is played over 4 rounds, and each round you're going to be playing culture cards, which give you this little boost. You're going to, since it has this worker placement aspect, you're going to be placing 3 different workers each round. Each one of those is going to be placed into 4 different spots, either the initiate, the migrate, develop, or hunt spots. Each one of those giving you different actions that you can take. There's kind of a sideboard, which is going to be a territory control board that you'll be working on. There is an honor track, which will be gaining you points for the end of the game. Once you take your 3 different actions, the cards that are left in your hand are going to be used for the eclipse phase, so you put them face down and then reveal them, and whoever basically has the most points from that eclipse phase decides who gets to go first, and the first player has a little extra room for where they place their workers, so it's a little bonus starting for the next round.
Yeah, and as for why we backed this game, we've been absolutely obsessed with similar games to this, like Lost Ruins of Arnak and Dune Imperium. We've just really enjoyed those, and I think this is, kind of in that same vein. So we're really looking forward to trying this one. Yeah,
the concept of deck building plus worker placement works really well, where you're trying to fine-tune your deck, but that also has impacts on where you're placing your workers and kind of back and forth. It's very unique.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the challenge. Like, I think right now one of our more complex games is something like Spirit Island, and I think this is going to rank up there with that in terms of complexity.
Yeah, and we've also kind of bought into the hype. We've watched a lot of other videos where people are saying Endless Winter is better than Dune and better than Arnak, so we're hoping the hype is true.
Also, another thing we wanted to highlight about this game is the artwork. It's by an artist called The Micho, and a lot of people really like his art style, and I think it's just really cool. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like a comic book art style, and it just looks really colorful and fun, so I'm looking forward to seeing it in person and how it all turns out.
Yeah, and it's got a very interesting theme as well, with the kind of prehistoric Ice Age kind of theme where you're trying to survive the winter. So yeah, it's really unique.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I do not like cold. I hate the cold weather. So this is kind of a way for me to experience the winter without actually having to experience the winter. So I'm sure it'll be a fun game. So as for the anticipated release date, we're looking at December 2021. That's when they're kind of estimating. So hopefully it'll be here by the holidays, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think anyone from our family is going to want to play that.
Yeah, no, we're going to have to play this one on our own.
Yeah.
We might have some gamer friends that might be into it, but other than that, yeah, it might just be the two of us.
Yeah.
We're super excited about all the games we backed this year. There's links in the description if you want to check them out. What games have you backed in 2021? Let us know in the comments.
And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like. We post new videos every other Thursday, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified when our next video drops.
Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Trick Takers out.